All right, so if you look at the learning target on the board over here, it says that students will complete a cost of production table. That's what this worksheet is. And then analyze the results. So what's it mean to analyze something? What we're going to do at the end. We're going to think about it. What else? When you analyze something, what else happens? You think about it and you what? Come to conclusions. Perfect. So if we look at it, it gives us some information that will help us complete the activity at the top. It says sweatshirts sell for $16 a piece. So each sweatshirt will be $16 once we sell them. We have fixed costs of running the factory equals $28 per hour. And if you need help, on page 111 in your economics textbook, there's an example that might help you. When we are completed with filling in the table, these are the questions that will guide our analysis. We're going to try to describe two ways in which the optimum level of production can be determined, and what number of sweatshirts per hour is the optimum level of production. So optimum, you see here that I've kind of described it for you as the best. So optimum will be the best. All right. There are three formulas you need to remember in order to make all this work, and I would like you to write them down on your forms. One is the formula for total cost. How do we calculate total cost? Say it again loudly.
Fixed cost plus variable cost.
Fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay, so that's one formula. When we're testing on this material, you're going to need to know that. I will not provide that for you. So this is one that you might want to put a star next to as something to put in your studying. We also need to know how to calculate total revenue. Total revenue, how do we calculate that? The number produced or sold times the price, correct. And the last one we need to work on is profit. Profit equals total revenue minus total cost. And profit's interesting to us. Why? Why would a business person care about profit? It's how much money that they have left over, right? When they sell all their goods, they take the money and then they subtract out all the money that it cost them to make that good, and that's the profit. So higher profit is probably good, right? All right, so let's see if we can figure out how to complete this table. Fixed costs is our first column. Do we have an idea about what might go into the fixed cost? Where did you find that? Right at the top. So when we make 0 sweatshirts, what's the fixed cost? So I heard 0 and then I heard 28. Maddie, why is it 28?
Because you run the factory no matter if you're making sweatshirts or not.
I'm not going to run the factory, but the factory is still going to exist, right? So fixed costs like rent or salaries or taxes, those have to be paid even if we make 0 sweatshirts. So if we make 28, or if we make 12 sweatshirts, what's going to be the fixed cost? If we make 12 sweatshirts. Maddie says it's still going to be 28. Do you agree? It is always the same, no matter how much you produce or how little you produce. It will always be 28. And so we could write 28 all the way down our sheet. That would be a correct answer. Now, variable costs, of course, change. That's the name suggests that. These are things that go up or down depending on how much we produce. So that information has been given to us. Can we figure out total cost now? Fixed cost plus total cost equals, fixed cost plus variable cost equals total cost. Fixed cost plus variable cost equals total cost. What's going to be the total cost for the second sweatshirt?
$42.
42. What's going to be the total cost for the third sweatshirt? 28 plus 15 is 45. And so we can complete that whole column. But I'm going to move on to the next one now. Marginal cost. Marginal cost is the additional cost of producing one more item. What is the marginal cost of producing the first item? It cost me $28 to produce none and $38 to produce one. What's the difference? $10 is the marginal cost, the additional cost of producing one more. What's the marginal cost of producing the second one?
14.
Is it 14? We go from 38 to 42. What's the difference? I think it's 4. Yeah, I think you just had an extra digit in there in your head. And what's the marginal cost of producing the third one?
3.
It's 3, because we went from 42 to 45. Now I'm going to skip marginal revenue, and I'm going to do total revenue. What is the price we're going to get for our sweatshirts? $16, it tells us right at the top, right? So total revenue, the formula we wrote down, is the number produced or sold times the price. Number sold times the price. So we're going to assume that this factory of sweatshirts is going to sell all that they produce. When they produce 0 sweatshirts, what's their total revenue going to be? 0 times 16 is 0. When they produce and sell 1 sweatshirt, what's their total revenue going to be? 16. And 2 sweatshirts? 32. And 3 sweatshirts? 48. I'm merely taking $16 and multiplying it by the number of sweatshirts per hour. Marginal cost was the additional cost of producing one more. Marginal revenue is the additional revenue from producing one more. When I went from 0 sweatshirts to 1 sweatshirt, what was the marginal revenue? 16. When I went from the first sweatshirt to the second sweatshirt sold, what's the marginal revenue? 16. 32 subtracting 16 is 16. And for the third sweatshirt, 48 minus 32, we also get 16. In fact, as long as we are producing shirts and the increments are 1, going up by 1 sweatshirt at a time, then this marginal revenue will be equal to the price, as long as we're increasing by 1 at a time. So the last thing we need to calculate is the profit. And the profit we see is equal to total revenue minus total cost. Can we figure that out then? Total revenue of producing 0 sweatshirts is 0. And the total cost of producing 0 sweatshirts is 28. So the total profit is negative $28. Total revenue of producing 1 is 16. Total cost is 38. We have negative 22 profit. Producing the second sweatshirt, we have $32 in total revenue, minus $42 in total cost, minus $10 of profit. And then 48 for the third sweatshirt, minus 45, we finally have a positive profit of $3. Your task is to complete filling out this chart, this table, and then to answer the two questions, and we will discuss your answers to those two questions. We're back here, and you can see that we've filled out the rest of the form, and now we have to analyze it. Two questions at the top. Describe two ways in which the optimum or best level of production can be determined. And two, what number of sweatshirts per hour is the best? So, what's the best way to determine profit here? Help me out, someone. I'm sorry. What's the best way for determining sweatshirt production? The maximum profit. If we go over to this column, we see that the highest profit happens right here. And if we go across the table, we can see that's at 8 sweatshirts per hour. So the answer here is 8 sweatshirts per hour is the best level of production. So the answer to A is where profit is highest. But there's another way to do it, and Tim answered this one correctly. Tim, what was the answer you gave me?
Where marginal revenue is equal or close to marginal cost.
Where marginal revenue and marginal cost are closest is also another way of determining this. In fact, you want your last item produced to be equal in revenue, marginal revenue, to marginal cost. So where marginal revenue equals marginal cost is another way of determining level of production. So this table is intended for us to have a simple example of how businesses determine how much of an item they should produce.